So we started in 1996 when we were given a load of computers by BP. And then through a whole series of weird coincidences, which people last night found quite entertaining. I'll tell you a quick story from George. Three of them, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, and Peter Mandelson, had this kind of vision from America in the 1930s, the Great Depression. There's something called New Deal. That's to get people back into work because massive unemployment. Leading up to the 1997 election, they had this vision and they wanted a practical way to implement it. And at the time we were working at 89 Albert Embankment, which is next door to MI6. I could look down and see what they're going to have for lunch that day because I could see into their kitchens. And we were opposite the Tate Gallery, but also opposite Millbank Tower, which is Labour Party HQ. And we had lots of IT graduates come to us for jobs because IT companies said, well, prove you can work. So they came to us, got work experience, got jobs. And a member of staff in the Labour Party found out about us and mentioned it to a character called Peter Mandelson. And he went to talk to Tony Blair, and around the kitchen table, literally the kitchen table, when they were finalising the Labour Party manifesto for 97 in about January, they said, aha, this is the practical way we can implement this vision to help people get back into work. And so they won the election, and then in August we had this really tall guy called Tompkinson from the Department, I think, of Employment or Education, one of those, turned up and said, I'd like to come and visit you. You may not know this, but the New Deal, the government project initiative, is based on you because you helped all these people who are unemployed get back into work. Would you like to pioneer it in the UK with Tony Blair? So had great fun. Fabulous, going up to Sedgefield, his constituency, do all kinds of stuff. And we set up 20 computer refurbishing workshops around the UK, hosted by community organisations. And we'd love to do one here in Camden. And that was fabulous. And so I worked with him until about 2001. Then in 1999, Gordon Brown, who's a real visionary, he had this idea of giving refurbished laptops to the unemployed so they could do job search online instead of going into the job centre every week. Because when you signed on, you'd be interrogated, have you been looking for jobs and that kind of stuff. But you also saw the jobs on cards. You're probably too old to remember this, that you used to walk to the job centre, there's loads of cards, weren't there? You remember that, don't you? And you had to look at all the jobs and they'd ask you, which ones have you looked at? And which ones have you applied for? So it meant that unemployed people could just go online from home. And so that's great. Worked with Gordon from 1999 to 2002. And then because we did a deal with Microsoft in 97, because in 97 we had all these refurbished computers, but Microsoft application software was full price. It was hundreds of pounds, even for charities. So I went to Microsoft and I said, look, in America, you give discounts to charities and non-profits. Why not do it in the UK? And they said, no, we don't do that. And so I said, well, why don't you ask? So they said, no, they'll say no, but we'll ask anyway. They asked, and the answer came back, well, yes. So we managed to get 80% discount on Microsoft software for all the charities in the UK, which is kind of fun. But because of that, and Microsoft knew us, when Bill Gates did a memorandum of understanding with the president of Namibia in 2003, they did lots of teacher training, but the teachers forgot everything they were taught, because when they went back to the home villages, they had no computers to practice on. They forgot everything they were taught. So Bill Gates said, we need computers for Namibia, for teachers. How do we do it? And so asked Microsoft UK, who said, aha, ask George. So I was invited to run it as an internal project within Microsoft in 2004. And I ran it as that until I incorporated it at his request in 2006 into its own charity. And Microsoft supported it up until 2010 when we became independent. It started out being called Digital Pipeline. It still is our legal name today. Our brand name is Computers for Charity. And while we were there, one thing Bill organized was a donation from the Department of Work and Pensions of 30,000 desktop PCs, and of which 25,000 we sent to schools all over Africa. So we shipped well over 100,000 computers to Africa. we provided an IT-based education to 2 million children. So we've done that. And then COVID happened, and then we changed our branding. We were branded Computers for Africa. And you'll see around here lots of banners in the background about the levels of poverty in Africa. And folk here don't realize what poverty is. So I've actually been working with business in the community since 1997. And what he'd do, he'd send around business leaders to visit our IT engineering workshop. And for business leaders to be exposed and understand about IT waste being turned into something good and being reused, and about how it benefits the community and the planet. And each time one of these devices is not thrown away, and as a result, someone needs to buy another one, by extending the life of a laptop from 5 years to 10 years, a new one's not made, and 150 kilos minimum of carbon dioxide is not emitted into the atmosphere. And carbon dioxide is a very lightweight gas. A kilo of it is like, will fill this room. So we're saving an awful lot of pollution, not going out and ultimately poisoning us. So yeah, and we've got, so I've worked with this gentleman also directly on a lot of fun projects. And I have to say, I think he's just a wonderful human being. But I'm now going to hand over to Jonathan, who's going to talk to you and let you know about Computers for Camden specifically, and our life stations, which is kind of a Yusuf-inspired, he's hiding at the back, idea.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan. I sort of built the current workshop at Computers for Charity. I trained all the staff there. I'm responsible for all the infrastructure, all the data wiping, all the fulfillment as well. We've recently been having a bit of a problem in that we have a lot of businesses still giving us devices that are about 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and they're no longer technically Windows compatible, since Microsoft have decided that Windows 11 you have to have at least an 8th gen Intel or above processor. And this is not just a problem that's faced us, but it's a problem that's facing the world. As a year ago, there were 750 million devices that were technically incompatible with Windows 11 still in use. The reason for this is fairly basic. For the last 13 years or so, computing power has far outweighed what we've needed it to be. And so people haven't been upgrading their devices as often. And it means that Microsoft's partners haven't been selling as many new devices, and Microsoft haven't been getting as much money from new licenses being purchased. Long story short, they decided to put in some artificial minimum requirements to Windows 11, and they decided to create Windows 11 in the first place. They originally said Windows 10 would be the last ever version of Windows. So, you know, you can't really trust a profit-driven entity. We've been mulling this over, what to do with all these old devices we were getting that weren't Windows 11 compatible. And then in a conversation with Yusuf, we were just talking it through with him, and he just said, we should totally do something with these. Let's put Ubuntu on them, let's put Linux on them, and let's make them life stations. And he came up with this great idea, this great name, Life Station. And it meshed exactly with the kind of things that we were thinking. We were thinking we'd love to have sort of a low-cost, easy access device for people who are digitally excluded, who struggle to get online, who struggle to access technology and access the vital services that government provides. And it is basically all online these days. So we started experimenting. We tried a whole bunch of different lightweight OSs, even Chrome OS. But we settled in the end on something called Lubuntu, which is L-Ubuntu or LXQT Ubuntu. Just for those who are curious, LXQT is a graphical user interface. So different versions of Ubuntu come with different graphical user interface engines. GNOME is the classic on Ubuntu. Then there's KDE, and then there's LXQT and XFCE. But LXQT is one of the lighter weight ones, and it's really powerful. It's really good, and it's very low resources. It runs beautifully on old machines or new machines or any machine. And we've got five example life stations, at the back. And you are free to go and play with them, test them out, see for yourself. We've loaded them with all open source productivity software, educational software. There's Chromium browser, there's Firefox, there's all of LibreOffice, as I said, there's Inkscape, there's Scribus, there's a graphical image manipulation program. These are all like Adobe Photoshop equivalents. They're very powerful. I use Inkscape all the time. It's really, really good vector graphic editing tool. So please do check them out. But importantly, we really want to start localizing life stations. We want to start with a Camden life station, a Camden specific life station with contact details and information about services, about charities, about the services that you guys provide, actually, so that people who are in need, who have access to a life station, can find the help that they require, right? And they can get in contact with the people who can help them better. But also, we'd love to have like template documents and stuff, legal stuff, whatever it is that they need, housing benefit forms or whatever it is, or with along with guides to fill them out. You know, how to do, you know, how to live, basically. Hence the life station concept as a whole. So if any of you guys are interested in helping us customize the life station for Camden Image, please do get in contact. That would mean a lot to us.